Today's video is about compassion. I'm sure many of you, or whoever even watches this video, is probably like a young adult, male, and in today's society, self-shame is a big tool for personal growth. And it has its pros and cons. For example, I'm not enough. I need to do more. I need to do better. I need to be a good person. I have to be a good person. I'm not a good person. I have to do more. And you get a lot of results with it. For example, when you're in the gym and you have this mindset and you think like this, you progress. Oh, I got 5 reps on this dumbbell curl. Now I need more. I'm not enough. It wasn't enough. I can be happy but never satisfied. I have to keep on pushing through. I'll never be enough. I have to do more and more and more. So you get results, but what are the cons? You start hating yourself. You never feel like you're enough. You never get that self-validation that you crave. And it's just an endless cycle of self-shame and toxic shame. So, for example, when I was growing up in high school, I had a fair share of experiences when I was growing up in my childhood which didn't meet my emotional needs, but that doesn't mean that my parents didn't do a good job of raising me. They did a wonderful job. They provided for me and my brother tremendously. Went to school, got a good education, all of those things. Sure, growing up, my brother, he wasn't really nice to me, but it's whatever. Everyone goes through their own karma, you know? So now he's changed so much and he's a much better brother to me. But during high school, I had the feelings of like inadequacy and that I wasn't good enough and I always had to be like my brother who was always achieving and stuff like that. Even if my parents got it from good intentions. But I grew up coming to the conclusion that I was afraid to make mistakes. So it got to a point where I didn't even want to just like try, like try new things because I was just so afraid of failing because I didn't want to disappoint other people. Disappoint my father, disappoint my mother. So like trying taekwondo, trying martial arts and stuff, I just didn't want to go. I was just scared because I was scared of failing. So in high school, when I got to high school and middle school, I had these feelings of inadequacy and I always craved validation from other people. I craved praise and I was very like I had no confidence. And I always craved validation from older people because I never really got it from my brother growing up, right? Or it was unpredictable. So I started hanging around with the wrong crowd and I just had so much self-shame that I just never felt like I was a good person. And so I would continue to do things that didn't align with my moral values. I would hang around with the wrong crowd. I would smoke weed. I would do drugs. I've done all kinds of things like growing up. Like I would hit licks or whatever and steal phones from people and like sell them. And I remember like deep down I knew this is what I like. I just didn't want to do this, like, and I never really came to terms with my own feelings and understanding why I was doing these things. And so I just developed like a cycle of self-shame because like obviously my parents knew what I was doing and it didn't help because like they wanted me to stop, but I just didn't know like the real root reason why I was doing these things. And weed for me for a long time really helped because it helped me really cope with these feelings and just mask them. So but for a long time, like I did have self-shame and like I would beat myself over up for like how I treated my parents during that time period of my life. And what I like the things I've done to them and how I treated them. Like I'm still like kind of bent on that. I'm like what 23 years old now, and like this was like a time period from like 13 to like 18. So like it still sticks with you. But I became a really toxic self-shame person to the point where even if I did one wrong thing that didn't align with what I wanted to do, I would beat myself up over it. Like if I say the wrong thing to someone or I would just go back to like a mindset where I'm like, oh, you're such a bad person. Like, come on, Kabir. Like, you're such a horrible person. You need to lock in. You need to do better. Like, you need to stop this shit. You need to stop smoking weed. You need to stop drinking up. You need to stop watching porn and all that stuff. You know. So it doesn't really, like, sure, it helps and you get motivated, but when there comes another time period or action or experience where you do something wrong or you perceive as wrong, you start beating yourself up over it again and again, you know? And then you just go back to that, like, oh, I'm a fucking horrible person. Like, I knew I shouldn't have done this. Like, I just hate myself so much. I just need to change. Why am I still doing this, you know? And, like, it got to a point where, like, I wasn't really, like, happy with myself. Even though, like, I use that self shame to, like, work out and just continuously go into the gym and just keep on working out, keep on working out. I never really had like compassion for myself, you know? So it's really difficult. And I'm still working on it, but there's obviously times where like I don't feel like I'm a good person, you know? And, like I try really hard to be a good person and I just don't like really like myself, you know? Like sometimes like I just can't get over those feelings where like all the people that I've treated or like the things that I've done to like hurt people, like it still sits with you, you know, like especially when you do things like that towards other people, like so I shame myself for a lot of those things and I still do that from time to time, especially when like I get really vulnerable or I'm going through a time period in my life where I do something wrong that I don't want to do that doesn't align with my moral values. It just I go back to that like mindset, you know, there's no compassion. And so I think today's video is really important because compassion is very good. And I know all those people say, like, those online gurus or like spiritual people, they say compassion, compassion, compassion. And like, yeah, it does make sense. Like, he's a good person. Like, oh, he's so spiritually elevated. Like, obviously, he's compassion. Like, guys, what are we doing here? Like, compassion is the most important thing. Like, what the fuck? Like, why should I keep on self shaming myself then? But the mind can only comprehend so much until you experience it, right? So especially for all those like young adults out there who are self-shaming themselves a lot, toxic self-shame, saying they're not enough, they need to grind, have some compassion for yourself. It's difficult, it's easier said than done. Oh, just have some compassion, dude. But you have to understand that you're the only one who's living in your mind every single day, you know? So you're the only one experiencing the thoughts that you've cultivated for yourself. You're the only one experiencing um like what your mind is going through, right? Whatever you feed your mind, it becomes that, right? So now if you have a lot of self-shame and you have a lot of self-toxicity, what are you going to experience? You're going to experience that for sure, you know? And believe me, it doesn't feel good obviously. So, but just have some compassion, man. Like everyone's human. You don't have to be perfect. And obviously, especially for those people who've grown up in a household where you have to be perfect, you have to get good grades and you can't get good grades. And if you don't get good grades, it's always like, oh, like why didn't you do this? Like why didn't you get this? Like, you know, it's very important for those people who've grown up like that to actually have some compassion. But obviously, it's also important for everyone to have compassion. But when you grow up like that, it's obviously easier to develop a self shame cycle mindset, like a toxic mindset, like not being enough. You have to be good. And yeah, like I have to understand too, like I'm not completely over my self shame. Compassion is good. You just have to, that part of you that always feels like that's not enough and that needs to be better and that feels like a bad person, there's a reason why you're feeling like that and that it always comes up. And the more that you repress it, the more it just stays down. Excuse me, that stays down there, you know? So whenever those feelings come up of self-shame or like you're not enough or you're not a good person, just be aware of it. There's a reason for it to come up like that to the surface. And the only way for it to go away or for you to come to terms with it and accept it and move on from it and heal it is during those moments when it comes to the surface. If it's deep and within you and it's hard to get out, it's going to take a long time for it to come to the surface, right? But so whenever you feel these emotions come up, just treat them with compassion, you know? Think of your mind as like a room, it's your house. Whenever you get guests, you always treat them with respect no matter what. A guest is a guest, you know? No matter how bad the person is, just treat them with kindness, you know? Like, love your neighbor, like Jesus Christ said, you know? Have some compassion. Same thing with your thoughts and your mind. It's like your house, you know? So whenever it comes, just treat it with compassion. There's a reason why it's coming there's a reason why it's coming up, you know? To the front of your mind. Don't shame yourself for thinking like that either. Never shame yourself for thinking something that you perceive as bad. You know? Oh, like, I hate this person. Nah, I shouldn't feel like that. I shouldn't hate this person. What am I doing? I'm such a bad person for thinking that. That just continues the cycle, you know? You should just be like, why? Why do I think? Why is this thought happening? Why do I feel like I hate this person? Where is it coming from? Is there a reason for it? And if you can't find a reason for it, don't go too deep into it. You know, you're not in control of your thoughts, you know? They come and go. You can just be aware of them. And especially for me, when I feel like I'm not a good person, or I do something and I'm like, fuck, like, I'm such a terrible person for saying that or doing that or thinking that. I should shame myself even more. You should just have some compassion, man. Like, just understand that you're also a human being too. And just don't forget that, you know? Everyone's experiencing something for a reason. So whenever I feel like, oh, like, I wasn't nice to my parents growing up, I treated them like shit, yada yada yada, I just try to be aware of that thought and that feeling and why I feel like that, you know? But you shouldn't shame yourself for it. Just be grateful that thought is coming to you, because it's an opportunity for you to grow and understand and learn from those feelings, you know? So yeah, man, like, compassion is very important. But then obviously when you lose your motivation to be a better person through toxicity and self-shame, you'll end up coming to a point where you have no motivation to do anything. So for example, for me, a lot of my like motivation to build a good body, to build a good physique, to be disciplined was a lot of self-shame that I'm not a good enough person, or it's not enough, or whatever I'm doing is not enough, you know? So when I'm starting to realize that, like, I don't have motivation to do any of these things anymore. So that's also a thing. So I don't know if you've seen that video with Healthy Gamer Gigi and Dante. He said the same thing. So like there's pros and cons to there's pros and cons to insecurity and self-shame, you know? So I think the most important part is to find that right source of fuel that you need, you know? Sure, you can self-shame yourself and be like, fuck, I'm not a good person. I'm not enough, and use that. You will get results. You definitely will get results in whatever you apply it to. But there's obviously cons to it. You won't be happy. You'll hate yourself. You'll love yourself less. You'll be more insecure. But you will become successful and you will get results. So it's at the end of the day, it's up to you what you want, you know? But I think compassion is very important, and that it's a much of a better source to use to get results long term. But yeah, just I know a lot of young adults like struggle with this a lot for sure. Always feeling like they're not enough, they're not a good person, but it doesn't help that the society that we live in is glorifying these things, right? That you have to be that you have to be successful, you have to be insecure, that like you have to feed your ego, you have to be better than everyone else, you know? And that you're not enough. What you're doing is not enough, because there's always someone else better on social media. There's someone more jacked than you, there's someone who has more money than you, there's someone who gets more women than you, there's someone who gets more bitches, you know? So it doesn't help that we live in a society like that. And then we get into this mindset of like, oh, we have to grind 24/7, there's no time for rest, you know? But you have to sit and understand, you have to realize that rest is just as much as important as grinding. And the fuel that you use to grind will also dictate your mental happiness and your mental health. Think of it like this. Excuse me. There's this one movie scene with Bruce Lee where I don't remember what movie it was. I just remember the scene, but he's like fighting in like a enclosed area, and the guy who's like overlooking the area that he's trapped Bruce Lee in, like a labyrinth with lots of doors and like mazes and stuff, and he's just fighting people in every room that he enters. There comes to a point where Bruce Lee, he's trapped. There's no way to get out. And instead of resisting and trying to find a way out, knowing that there's no way out, he can't break the door. It's made out of metal. He can't climb out because there's no way to climb out. He just sits and rests and recollects himself. And that's what you need to do as a person, especially when you self-shame yourself and when those thoughts of self-shame come up, or where you think that you're not a good person. Because a lot of people, they like to escape. Believe me, I've had my fair share. I'm an escapist person too. Like, for me, that was weed for a long time, right? Or like, yeah, weed. And you have to realize that you still have the awareness. You can still be aware of your own thoughts, and you are the observer behind those thoughts. So whenever those thoughts come up, just be like Bruce Lee. Obviously, you can escape, you can turn to drugs, you can avoid it, but it will come back. Every single time it will come back. So just sit there and just recollect yourself and just be aware of why this thought is coming up, and just treat it with compassion. Don't label it, don't put any emotions on it. Oh, I shouldn't be feeling like this. Oh, why am I feeling like this? Like I'm such a bad person for thinking like this, or for having this thought, or like experiencing this. No, just sit and be aware of it, just like how Bruce Lee just sat and was recollecting himself and accepting his situation. Accept those thoughts, but don't cling to them and don't give them power. Just be aware of them and accept them. And that will be really, really good. I think that's really important for people of like my age, around my age, or like young adults or like teenagers, because it teaches you acceptance, you know? Sure, there might be someone better than you in life. There might be someone who's more successful than you. And even me just saying that is it's pissing me off, just thinking about that someone's better than me in life. I want to be better than them. But that's just ego, you know? So you have to pick and choose when you want an ego. You have to pick and choose what kind of dirty fuel that you want, you know? Because there's pros and cons to everything. There's pros and cons to having self-shame, toxic self-shame. And there's pros and cons to having good fuel and dirty fuel. So it's up to you what you want. But I think compassion is the most important thing that a young adult male should have, at least in this day and age, with social media and all the comparison and all the dirty fuel that's pushed towards us constantly, you know? So give yourself some leniency and give yourself some compassion. Give yourself some self-love, you know? Like, just sit down one day and just like meditate and think about everything that you've been through, everything that you've done, and just understand that everything that you've experienced for a reason, and you should be grateful for it no matter what. And that you're also experiencing life just like everyone else. Your parents are also experiencing life, and that no one can be perfect. That's the whole reason. Life is just all about not being perfect. You don't have to be perfect. Not everything is perfect, you know? So that's what you really need to accept. And I think thinking like this will help you understand that it's okay to not be perfect, and that it's okay for someone to be better than you. And obviously that's very hard. Even I haven't come to terms with that, you know? Like sometimes like I'll be like, okay, yeah, like I understand. Compassion. There will be people better than me. There will be people who will be more successful than me. And then at times I'd be like, fuck that. Like I want to be the best. I want to compete. I want to be successful. So, you know, it goes back to like picking and choosing what you want, you know? But I'm at a point in my life where I can understand that, especially when you're young, you should be competing, or like you want to compete and you want to be better than everyone else. You want to be successful. But then I'm also starting to understand, like, damn, like, does it really matter? Like, what's the point? You know? Sure, like you'll be successful. Sure, you'll get to where you want to be in life, but at what cost, you know? So I think having a balance, but also having compassion is very important towards yourself. Don't beat yourself up over every single mistake that you make, because mistakes are needed to learn, you know? Just like how you need to have good in life to understand bad, and how you need to have bad in life to understand good, because we live in a dual world, you know? There's duality to it. How can you experience happiness without sadness, you know? So how can you change and be better if you don't make mistakes, you know? So not everyone's perfect, everyone makes mistakes, so just be really easy on yourself, you know? But that doesn't mean that you cope with the fact that, like, I will make mistakes, so this mistake that I made, it's okay, I made the mistake, and that you don't learn from it. That's not good. You should learn from it, you know? You should learn from your mistakes. You shouldn't cope with the fact knowing that everyone makes mistakes and use that to spiritually bypass your feelings of guilt and shame. There's good shame and there's toxic shame. So you should have good shame. If you make a mistake, good shame is understanding that what you did wasn't right and how it hurt someone else or whatever you did, but learning from it, not coping and being like, like, human beings make mistakes. I watched that one video by KK Costa, and she's like, it's okay to make mistakes. We will make some mistakes. We will make mistakes, so it's okay to make them. And then just cope with that and be like, yeah, like, it's fine, and not learn from it, you know? So you have to have a balance, but definitely, to whoever's watching this, just don't beat yourself up over your silly mistakes. And I know it's easier said than done, but the best way to work on it is just being aware of your thoughts and just not labeling them and not reacting to them, and just accepting them, you know? Try to find out why you feel like that and why it continuously comes up, and just be aware of your own thoughts, you know? Just love yourself, man. And like a long time from now, you'll look back at this period in your life, like when you're like 70 or 80, and be like, fuck, like, I wasted my prime years of my life just hating myself when I could have just loved myself, you know? So just love yourself. Just have some compassion.